Welcome, guys. How's everyone doing? Steve and Matt here. Hope you guys enjoy the podcast. Keep an open mind and remember, think about it. Today's podcast is brought to you by FMC Savvy, where dreams meet reality. Start your journey to financial freedom right now by visiting fmc-savvy.com. So how are you guys doing today? So today we're going to be talking about positive mental attitude and depression. So the first thing I wanted to bring up was the law of attraction. And I remember it was a couple years ago. Me and Matt doesn't remember, but it was a movie. It was called The Secrets of Success. It was like the law of attraction. And basically the huge point about it was that there was this guy at a job and all of his employees would make fun of him. He would go home, his wife made fun of him. And like his kid hated him. He like bad things started to happen to him over the course of time. And I feel like, and that was basically the basic point of law of attraction. They were saying he attracted all those things because he thought of himself when he looked in the mirror. He was like, he looked at it directly at himself, and he called himself ugly. He said, "You're worthless. You can't do anything." So in that case, everything that he did from that point on was a result of that. So what do you think about the law of attraction?
I think it's very true, and I feel like what can happen in life is if you don't. I think the mind is a really powerful thing. I think as I get older, I really realize that. So the interesting thing about the mind is that what you say and what you think can really come to fruition, and people just take their words and thoughts lightly. And I think if you put more time into really looking inward at yourself and thinking, wow, I be thinking about some crazy stuff, and then try to change your thought inside your head, then it can change the way you see the world. Because even when one thing I started doing a long time ago is every time I was at work, a coworker even said to me, they're like, why do you always get such horrible customers? I'm always getting the worst customers. Yeah, me. I always get the worst customers. They're always irate, angry, and stuff. And it's like, it happens to me all the time. And she would laugh. She's like, if somebody's trying to test you, she was like, God is trying to test me. Until I pass the test, it won't stop. But what I had to think, it was like, okay, there's one common denominator among all these customers. It's me. So it could just be me. And what I realized was I just rub people the wrong way. So when I changed the way I went about my work, then it changed the way people went about me. And again, it doesn't mean I'm a mean person. I just rub them the wrong way. People don't know me, so I think it irritates people that I don't want to get to know them. Somebody's even told me that it comes across like I'm stuck up, but in reality, I don't see somebody, I'm like, oh wow, they seem so interesting. I would love to know. I don't care. I'm just there, and I'm very polite. I'm very respectful. But I think it even makes it worse that I'm polite and so respectful because they don't have nothing to say. It's just something about me just irritates people. So I was like, okay, I'm the common denominator among all these people, and they're always cussing me out, even though I'm so polite, I'm so respectful. So why don't I try to change that? And when I went back to work the next day and I changed the way I treated them, just extra bubbly, even though it was fake, and even then they changed the way they treated me. They're like, oh wow, you're so nice today, because people want you to talk to them, people want you to care about their day. It's like, I don't, but that's what they want. So I feel like the law of attraction is really whatever you think can really be created in like reality. And the second I changed the way I acted towards people, the law of attraction, in my opinion, change the way they came back towards me. It's just whatever you give out comes back. So if you're just walking around moping all day, then you wonder why your day's always bad.
Yeah, the definition, basically, the law of attraction is the ability to attract into your lives whatever you focus on.
Exactly. So if you focus on the bad, let's say it's raining outside, and you're like, oh, I'm going to have a horrible day.
Exactly.
You're going to have a horrible day.
You've spoken to this.
But if you see the rain, you're like, oh, okay, it's rain. It doesn't affect my day at all. Like, I know people that anything, they just, oh, this is going to be horrible. No, it's like, and I'll even catch myself doing it sometimes. I have to stop myself and say, no, you affect your day. Only you can, the weather should not be any relevance to how my day goes. It's up to me how I go about my day. Even if I get into an accident or something bad happens, it's up to me and how I handle it and deal with it. And that's what I think the law of attraction works.
Yeah, even when I got into the accident one time in my other car, and the next day I got another car, I didn't take the accident as something bad. I took it. There's always a bad and good for every situation.
Exactly.
So for that situation, I took the good out of it. I was saying I always wanted a new car, honestly.
Yeah.
So I just went and got a new car and went about my life.
Exactly. And then
the very
everything
next
else
day.
works itself out.
And again, I also want to talk about because basically I've learned this like strong positive mental attitude through like Napoleon Hill and Earl Nightingale from like actually
Yeah.
W. Clement Stone. So they wrote a book. It's called Success Through Positive Mental Attitude. And the big thing about that is like so other people the way they describe it, other people have like there's energy between people.
Yeah.
So if you were to call me fat, stupid, and ugly,
Mm-hmm.
I would that your energy can make me feel like I'm fat, stupid, and ugly. So like that whole thing about protecting yourself and don't really
Expose yourself to bad mental energy.
exactly.
Exactly. Yeah, like that's very true. Like even when like there's somebody in my life even now where it's like every time you go around them they're just like it's almost like when they walk into a room plants die. Like that's how
Yeah.
bad of a person they are. I'm just like I don't want to be around you. I love you but I don't want to be around you because it's nothing you benefit me in no way, shape, or form. So I think it really is important. I've heard that a lot where you have to protect your own energy. Like you have to protect your own mental space. And most people just let anybody into their mental space and mess it up and make you go haywire and everybody gets an opinion in their life. And I don't think that's good.
And you also have to like look at people like are they worth your time and energy? Like you can have someone in your life like you said you spend all this time and energy on them but they just suck it up.
Yeah.
It's like 2 cups. Your cup is full of water and they have nothing in there. If you keep on pouring into their cup, then you will end up having no water in your cup.
Exactly, and they are not going to be appreciative of the water that's in their cup. They're just going to throw it all out. Because some people like being unhappy. I've realized some people, no matter what you do, they're most comfortable when they're unhappy and miserable. It's almost like they don't want to be happy. Because if certain people in this world where they get upset when they have nothing to complain about, when they can't mope or blame somebody and say, oh, they did that if it wasn't for them. When they don't have that, it's almost like it bothers them deep down where they don't have someone to say, oh, man, if it wasn't for that person, I would be... It irritates them. So I feel like some people, when I meet somebody like that and I realize there's nothing you can do to make that person happy, just leave them and stay away from them and let them sit in their sorrows and just sit there. That's all it is.
And I guess we're also going to tie this back into depression. This is law of attraction, how people are attracting depression nowadays.
Yeah, so I'll even take over from here. So one thing, the reason why we even talked about the subject was maybe it's just something I noticed. I feel like times are changing where everybody's so sensitive and so many people are popping up with depression. Of course, I will say it. I'm not ignorant. I do know a lot of people have been depressed and now it's just something that's noticeable and people are now putting a word to it. But I feel like when you put a word to something, people start to overuse that word. And when before it would just be like, okay, I'm having a bad day. But now when people know about like depression, everyone wants to say they're depressed.
I have anxiety.
And then everybody wants to say they have. It's almost like they just want to join the club. They just want to join the depression and anxiety club. No, you probably could just be stressed for that day. But now when you label like yourself as depressed, now other stuff starts to happen because now mentally you've already like decided that you are a depressed person. So now you walk around moping. Exactly. And that's the funniest thing is even in like school. If you notice in school, in elementary school, the first thing schools do is they want to diagnose kids with ADHD. And a lot of parents, they say, I'm not going to allow you to diagnose my child with ADHD because we don't even know if they really have it. Now, you're going to diagnose my child with ADHD, and they're going to get put into certain classes, get treated a certain way. And now it's only going to lead to propel and add to that, when in reality, they could just be a kid that's hyperactive, just ate a lot of sugar.
But do you know where that came about? It's because Dr. Umar Johnson talked about it. It was like so the school board system, like teachers, most teachers are women and stuff, right? And the board is mostly a woman. So if they see like a kid, kids like men, like boys can't sit still as long of a period of time as girls can. So then they see like why can't you sit still? So they start to diagnose the kids with such disorder because they see him being erratic.
Exactly. When in reality they're just being kids and now you've now diagnosed that child and put them in a certain box and now they're stuck in that box for the rest of their school system. And now they will really start to show signs of having it because you've now put that on them.
Exactly.
So depression, I feel the same way. When you go around saying you're depressed, like I know people now that, yeah, they were sad, but now they almost have a word for it. Now they have a group they can join. Join the depression group. Call 1-800 like depression, and you can tell us all your problems. It's like, dude, just deal with it. Just
deal with it, bro.
And I know it sounds harsh, but it's like, these are
don't
grown
label
men.
it, deal with it.
These are grown men. I know, like, for example, like the one we knew. A girl curved him, and now he's, woe is me. He's drinking his life away.
Exactly.
Falling in his sorrows. No, you got curved. It happens.
It happens.
Take it on the chin, walk the other way, and go home. Or no, don't even go home. Go to a party or spin the corner and see another girl and go smack at her. But this is the delusion that's happening in society where people take the smallest thing and they turn it into this huge thing, and that's the danger of like putting a word like to something, because words are so powerful that the second people have a word to associate emotion with, now they cling to that word. If I'm depressed, when in reality, you got curved. In any human emotion, we go smack at girls a lot, and we talk to girls a lot. Even when we get curved, it's still like, it bothers you a little bit, but then you just brush it off immediately, and then you keep on going. Because, I mean, especially if you really like a girl and it's like an OC curve, of course, it's going to be, it's almost like a little pinch. But it shouldn't be a gunshot wound. It should just be a pinch.
Because it's not that serious.
Exactly, and wears off.
But I feel like for us, because we are foreigners, or at least our parents, you're foreign, of course, it's different for us. Because you see people in Africa depressed. Is that a thing?
See, but again, I want to say they could be, but I just feel like
TD
Jakes said. I was listening to TD Jakes talk preach once, and he was saying, because I listened to him as like a motivational thing, and he said the craziest thing to me. He said, my kids are able to complain about stuff that I didn't even know was a real issue because they're in a different financial point. He said when I was growing up, the stuff I listened to my kids complain about, I didn't even have time to think about that. They're complaining about Wi-Fi and how slow the Wi-Fi. He's like, dude, growing up, we were trying to get food. So when you have bigger issues in your life, you can't go and find most people like this. I mean, you have to realize most people, they don't have a lot of issues. So they have to actually go and look for issues and create issues in their own life. And then they find the smallest thing, then they blow it out of proportion because now they want to feel like their life is hard. I don't know why, but for some reason, everybody wants a struggle story. I mean, even the people that have never struggled, they all want a struggle story. Even if you listen to somebody that grew up in the mansion in Hollywood, their struggle story is going to be, oh, but you know, like my dad, he showered me with roses and I had everything except for love. Like, you get what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Everyone wants a struggle story. Now, again, that could be true where they had everything except for their parents being around, because, you know, people that make a lot of money, they're not able to be around as much. But a lot of times, these kids had their parents. But even then, they still tell their struggle story. No one wants to be that person that just says, no, I had a great life. Because it's not as appealing. It doesn't give you that like it's not as cool. And that's why even when I bring it back to the whole situation which is a real situation of a guy that we knew, man, it got curved and he took it so hard. His people like that, the reason why they take that so hard is because they don't have nothing else. When the most serious thing that can make you drop to your knees and break is a female saying she don't want to give you her number, that says something about the life you have lived. If a woman, I don't care if she tells me the ugliest thing that she has ever seen, like, I don't give a fuck. Like, if that is what it is that can break you, that means you were never together in the first place, and also you have never experienced real struggle. Because if that's what breaks you, when I be hearing people's struggle stories, because people always want to come to me and tell me that. It's like when I hear some of the stuff people tell me that has them in the most deepest, because everyone is depressed in today's day and age, at least in this time in like in the U.S. where everybody's pushing this consciousness and get in touch with your emotions, and you have to understand your emotions and all this stuff. People are looking for stuff that's not there, and now they're trying to diagnose them like themselves, almost like they're some type of psychiatrist. And what happens is when you look for something, you're gonna find it, even when it's not there. So this dude that just got curved, instead of just going to another girl, just moving on like it was normal, he started drinking, started doing crazy stuff that was not necessary because he had never had any hardship. When you don't have hardship, you have to create your own. It's like a fairy tale world where people are walking around talking about how hard they've had it, how depressed they are. When it's like people in Africa, like you said, the reason why we don't even talk about like depression in Jamaica or Africa, where you're from, because I'm Jamaican, because we don't got time.
Because if you're depressed, then you're just like a weak link, and then because you have to know it's survival out there.
Yeah, again, I don't think it's like a weak link. I just think you don't even have. It's not even a thing. No, in Jamaica, I have never even heard that word.
That's what I'm saying.
I think it's not even in our vocabulary.
Yeah,
like,
it's not a basic. It's not a weak link. Then it's not a thing, or
it's not even
at
a
all.
thing. It's like it's not even a thing because you have to have time to even look at yourself and say, you know, I might be depressed. No, down there, am I hungry or what is it? It's either food or money. If I'm not eating, I'm trying to get some money. If I'm not trying to get some money, then that means I've got the money and now it's time to eat.
So I'm starting to look at it. So how you're explaining. So basically, being depressed is you don't really have any time. You just create something to take up that time. You just create an emotion just so you can be taken by something.
Exactly.
Like someone that's
People
like on
emotions.
someone that's like on the run to get money, things like that. They don't have time to be depressed. That's just
because again, I felt down, but I don't call it depression. I literally go hit baseballs. And then I just relieve stress. I feel stress. Now, stress and depression are different. Now, I have been stressed. I'm not going to say I've never been stressed because stress is just normal. But again, that's just a normal feeling. Like, I've worked crazy hours. I've been stressed to where, I have headaches. Now, again, anybody else would like, go see a doctor or call it depression, which, again, you probably should. But it's just... what is it? Like, where is the cutoff for that person? What is it for you? What is your cutoff? Now, some people, again, getting curved by a girl means they're now in the deepest, lowest place that they've ever been in their whole life. If that's what can create it, then that means you were never that high to begin with. And people are just weak. Some people are just really weak people and really fragile. And I feel like nowadays, the fragile people are the ones that have the biggest voices. They're the ones out there saying, they're the ones out there saying, talk about your emotions, talk about this. And even when I was listening to TD Jakes, he was saying, but you gotta realize, it's not. Sometimes you don't need to. You can just internalize some stuff. Some stuff, just keep it to yourself. And then that's just how I feel about it personally.
So, and I guess that's how we're gonna wrap it back into how like music has made it sort of cool to be depressed. Like how, you know, people want to fit into something. So if they see like Juice WRLD is depressed, see XXXTentacion depressed, they're like, I want to be just like him. Because, you know, of course, every artist has a big influence on people. So if the most popular artists are stressed and depressed and have anxiety, are popping pills and drinking lean and stuff like that, then, you know, the whole masses are going to be over that.
Yeah, I feel like that's a big thing. Even if you talk about like the culture, where now back in the day it was like just get high and be happy. People weren't getting like, if you listen to music in the early 2000s,
no depression.
It was no depression, but they were high as hell. So they could have been depressed because again, those dudes, a lot of them came up in bad areas where their people were dying. They were just, I'm just high, trying to live my best life. Now you have kids that didn't grow up like that. A lot of these kids, Juice WRLD, and a lot of these kids grow up in Hollywood, grow up with money from Cali. Then they're just popping Molly, popping Zans, and they're just low. But again, this is the kicker. When you take a depressant, what do you think it does? It makes you depressed. Duh. So most people take these drugs and don't even realize it's the drug that you're taking that makes you depressed. What do you think lean does? You think it speeds you up? No, it slows you down. What do you think Molly does? Of course, it'll probably speed up the way you're thinking. I've never done it, so I don't know. But again, these are all depressants. These are drugs that are made. These are not People are not doing coke. Coke is not a depressant. Coke gets you hype, be out there wilding. But these are all depressant drugs that just make you lean and just slow down and just slurred speech, all that stuff. So that's why people aren't even realizing that it's the whole culture, it's the music, it's the drugs, it's what they're doing that's adding to their own depression. And then they go back and then say they're like the ones that are depressed, but no. You listen to X talk about popping Molly, then you go popping Molly.
Who was
and
that
you feel the same
guy
way.
you showed me the music? I was shocked when I heard that. Kyle.
Yes,
I mean,
his
this
name's
guy
Kyle.
he didn't like filter anything. He was straight going. Oh, I'm stupid. I go home. What am I doing? Punching walls. I'm crazy. I should kill myself.
But you think about everybody's doing it. Even you think about Future, Percocets, Molly Percocet. That's one of the biggest songs. And that thing is a hit. I like it. I'm not gonna lie. But again, it's just the whole song is just about Molly and Percocet.
I mean, and that's law of attraction. So say you sing the song, you know the song, you sing the song when you're sleeping, you wake up, what are you gonna do?
Go try some Molly Percocets, and now you're depressed, just like Future.
And then once you head towards that road, is like a one road. You just keep on going until there's a dead end. And that's how that happens.
Okay, and then another thing that people were even speaking about, and another thing that's going on in with the youth now is a big thing is with social media, because you know how social media is growing and it's blowing up. So now you have people on social media that live fake lives, but kids that watch them don't realize that their lives aren't real. Girls that are watching or looking at these other girls' pictures are now getting like depressed. It's really a big thing in high schools now where they're actually going in and talking to them about this. Because you'll be a female, right, looking at Kim Kardashian's picture, and you're not even thinking, okay, that's fake. That's not real. So now you're trying to attain the unattainable, and then you keep getting more and more depressed because it's like, I don't look like her. I'm not that. Or it's guys. Now, from a male perspective, you got dudes. Of course, this isn't me, but you got dudes out here that are flaunting with money, and now you probably have a kid somewhere. I don't got no money. How can I flaunt? I can't flaunt. I can't take those pictures. Why can't I get a pretty girl? Now they're depressed. So I just feel like social media and just the way times are have really, because everyone lives a fake life, but they portray it to be real. So for the weak-minded person that probably can't differentiate and tell her, like for example, like a girl that can't see, those pictures are obviously photoshopped, and her waist is not, it doesn't match her butt, but it's like, in her mind, she's like, why doesn't my waist look like that? Why doesn't my... I would even say, think about it like a castle. You need to put a moat around your castle to protect it, so no one else can't just walk up to your castle. Most people have their walls down in a way where anybody can just walk up and touch their castle, or in that sense, like their mind. Everyone shouldn't be able to tell you their opinion. We live in a world where everyone's opinion matters to everybody. Me, and I think like you're like the same way. I don't care about a lot of people's opinions.
I don't care about
most people's opinions. Nobody. You have to.
It's like you have to filter people's opinions though.
Exactly.
Someone says something, you're like, you have to like take it in suggestive. You always take someone's opinion into like by a grain of salt. Exactly.
Facts. That's all it is. Your opinion is just literally a grain of salt. Because you haven't. One, you're not me. One, most of these people because again, social media gives everybody a voice. These people are not, they haven't earned no accolades. These are just a kid in his mother's basement that probably struggles in high school algebra that is now telling you about what to do with your life. A bum that has accomplished nothing in his whole life now is able to give his opinion and be heard. It used to be a time where everybody couldn't be heard. And the only people that got to speak and be heard were people that actually accomplished something. Now, again, it's bad because those times were bad because everybody's voice didn't get heard. But honestly, I feel like everybody's voice doesn't need to be heard. If you have not accomplished nothing, why should anybody hear your voice? Like, I just don't understand. Like even for us, if we can't prove that like we're doing anything. People that listen to this, they don't have to take my opinion seriously. It's just an opinion. And again, even if I do accomplish something, it's still just that, an opinion. But now I have people following me that will also support my opinion. Because think about Bill Gates. When Bill Gates gives a speech, he's literally just saying his opinion. But because he's dropped out, And because it worked for him, his opinion now becomes truth for him. But if somebody else that didn't become successful tried to talk about dropping out of school, like, no, shut up. Do not tell that to nobody. But the reason why Bill Gates and Mark Zuckerberg and all these people can go back to schools and talk about dropping out, because they made it, and they made it so big that no one can say anything to them.
So, I mean, how I would explain to fix basically depression, I mean, how I got to the state of having such a strong mind is I was reading books on positive mental attitude, knowing that just basically, if you have the truth, then you can never go back to basically the false and what is wrong. So if I was depressed, I would just like read up on how could I probably know myself better, know what these things are, and just know that everything isn't really real. It's just like I mean, sometimes depression is real. So I can't.
Because again, then we just sound ignorant. We make it seem like depression is not real.
But even so, I don't think depression is really real. I'm gonna tell you what I really believe. I don't think depression is real. It's just whatever you think. Anything that you think is really is because of what you think.
Yeah.
You feel what I'm saying? So the truth is all in your mind. Mm-hmm. So depression is only real to you because you think it's real.
Mm-hmm. Because even like, for example, like my mom, I'm pretty sure she is a depressed person. Mm-hmm. But literally, she sits in a dark room all day. We're like, go outside. Her doctor, because I'm pretty sure doctors can tell. Doctors aren't stupid. Like when you go in and they realize that there's nothing wrong with you, what they always tell you is get sunlight, go outside, walk. Go outside, and that most people, and most people live in like a world where they're inside all day. They're on their computer, looking at Instagram, on Twitter. You need to because the world is really a beautiful place. If you just walk outside on a sunny day, dude, I just be getting up and going outside or go for a drive. It's like, this is dope. The world's a beautiful place.
Have you heard of smile more, and that'll automatically make you happy? Yeah. Even if you talk to someone, if you just smile, you just gonna try to be
And
happy.
I think what most people need to start doing is just understanding that you really control your own life. Mm-hmm. Depression does not. And again, I don't want to sound ignorant, because there are people out here that really like depressed and probably have no control, which I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a psychiatrist, so I can't prescribe anything. But just my personal opinion would be try to change something. Because if you're doing the same thing every day and expecting a different result, that doesn't make sense. So if you sit inside the house all day long, and you're wondering why you're depressed, and you're in a dark room, people have no common sense. You take Percocets and Xans, and you wonder why you're depressed. Like, these rappers are retarded. And then the people that follow them, these impressionable kids, are now doing what they do, and they don't realize that the drugs you're doing are depressants. It's literally, if you look up drugs in health, it's like when we were taking health in high school, all those drugs are under not stimulants, depressants. It's made to calm you down. It's made to just kill your emotions. Mm-hmm. So when you do that, you're gonna feel depressed. And when you start taking those drugs that were supposed to be prescribed to people only in small doses, in large amounts, and now you're you're doing it like it's weed. Weed is not a depressant. Weed just makes you chill. Mm-hmm. Now again, some weed, I don't do drugs, so I don't smoke, so I don't really know, but weed just makes you chill. Mm-hmm. I've never seen weed make anybody cry or make anybody most of the time that they look happier. So it's like, but when you take these drugs that are made to kill your emotions and just drop you like a rock, because it's what it's created for. It's made to just calm you down and really kill it. Just take it from 100 to 0 really quick. And you take it every day and you make it like a normal thing, like you're drinking water. Mm. What do you think is going to happen?
So what would say your cure to depression is, if someone asks you that?
For a lot of these kids, stop doing these drugs. Basic common sense, and everybody's doing drugs. So I don't do drugs. The youth is doing. But let's be real. Everybody is doing these drugs, and it's cool. So the first thing that we have to do is make it cool to not do it, And again, I'm not out here preaching.
Yeah, trying to be active.
Yeah, I'm not out here damn active. I really don't care,
Mm-hmm.
to be honest. If you're popping Molly and Percocets, pop them until you drop. It don't make me no difference. I don't care. But what I will say, the basic common sense that I have from looking from the outside in is, if you're doing these drugs every day and you see it makes you more depressed, try stopping and then substituting it with something that's not a drug. Because you can't go from Molly to alcohol. That doesn't really help, because alcohol is, again, the same way. You're just killing something. You're trying to down something. Just find out what the problem is and try to solve it like without drugs. And I think a interesting thing for me, because I never did drugs, I always had to learn how to fix problems mentally and solve them like without taking the easy way out. I can never go pop a Molly to when I'm sad, because again, I get sad. I'm like human. I'm not a robot. I get unhappy. I feel bad on certain days if I have gloomy days, but I just get through the day and get to the next day. It's just life.
Yeah, it's
life
just
has ups and downs, but now people get stuck in one emotion because they try to prescribe everything. Oh, I'm feeling sad. Okay, take this to cure your sadness. No, that's not how you cure sadness. You sit in it for a bit and understand that it's gonna pass, and you have to now take care of yourself and get out of it.
And I'll say one more thing about like depression. I forgot who said it. I'll probably quote it or put in the description when I find out. But I think I said it before. But so the reason about basically people put a value on things, how much like they value it. Like say money is a value because everyone needs it. So say if you are depressed about something, there's two options. Can you do something about it? So you go and do something about it. And if you can't do something about it, why worry about it? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. And the last thing I want to say is just preface this by saying we're not, I know it comes across as ignorant and harsh to some people that are probably listening, like, oh, they don't care about my depression. But the reality is no one cares. I feel like somebody said something really, really, really interesting a few days ago, and I was listening to it. This social media era makes people think that other people actually care about them, because people will be sitting in their in their house laughing at you while commenting on your depression, and you're there actually thinking that they care whether you live, you die, whether you get over like your depression or not. And too many people live in a world where they go to social media for like and support when these people don't care about you. At least go to your parents, somebody that actually cares about you. But instead of going to them, because they would probably give you better advice. But people don't realize no one cares. No one is on social media hearing that you're depressed and really trying to solve it. Most people laugh.
Yeah, and we're not talking about anyone who's going through anything. Basically, it's not we're saying you're not depressed. Basically, don't be depressed. There's always a positive side to everything. And basically, if you're going through things, then just keep a positive mental attitude. Thanks for tuning in, guys. I'll see you next time. Remember, think about it.